everyone, it's Jennifer from Fiberflux. Welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad you're here hanging out with me today because today we're going to learn how to make this adorable crochet curlicue wreath. This is a really easy project that you can make in just no time flat, made with some simple materials, just a little bit of yarn. I'm going to show you how to do it every step of the way. So this little wreath can be used as a gift topper. You can hang it on a tree. You can even make a whole garland of them. And it is big enough to slip over a doorknob as well. So you can use it for all different kinds of things. And I've added a little bow and a bell just to kind of dress it up a little bit. So you can get this pattern in lots of places. You can join me today for this full video tutorial. You can get it for free over at the blog, the full written pattern. You can also find the ad-free PDF pattern in both my Etsy shops and my Ravelry shops. You can also join the Fiberflux Patreon community to get the month's patterns in one fun community spot. Before we get started, be sure and hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel, supports the channel. I really appreciate it. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't already hit it. Also new to the Fiberflux channel are channel memberships. I'm really excited to share this. It's a new program that we rolled out and it's full of exclusive perks for being a channel member. The link is down below, so check that out too. So let's jump in and learn how to crochet this super cute little wreath. Our finished wreath is about 4 inches from the top to the bottom and also from side to side as well. For this project, you'll need a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle. A tape measure is super helpful, especially if you want to change things up a little bit. For our yarn, we're going to be using some medium 4 worsted weight yarn. If you're not sure what kind of yarn you have, just look on the back of your label for that little yarn ball with a number in it. Look for the medium 4 and one that recommends an H 5mm crochet hook. So we're going to use that hook, the 5mm H hook for this. Now I'm using 2 shades of green because we're going to be making 2 curlicues, one in this lighter green and one in the darker green. So this is like a bright spring green and this is like a bright kind of Kelly green. Now this is, if you want to use the specific yarn I'm using, this is called Impeccable by Loops and Threads. It's kind of like one of the craft store's store brand, but any medium weight worsted weight yarn will be just fine. And we're going to be using, this is called Guacamole and this is called Kelly Green. Now you're going to not need all this yarn. This uses very, very little yarn. This is less than an ounce of yarn that I used. So you'll need just a little bit of the light green, a little bit of the dark green. So this is a wonderful scrap yarn project as well. Now, aside from the curlicues that we're going to be crocheting, we're also going to be embellishing them when we're done. So what you'll need for that is just some ribbon. You could even use a red piece of yarn tied into a bow. We're going to put a little bow on it and I'll show you how to do that. But I just grabbed some kind of holiday themed yarn that I liked. And then I grabbed some embellishments we can put in the middle of the bow if you like. It's really fun to experiment. You could do pom-poms, you could do bows. I had these in my craft bin. They're little kind of like wood cutouts, snowflake, a gingerbread person, a snowman and things like that. But really anything. I thought that the red bow with the bell would be really pretty. So we're going to be using some embellishments too. And then to get the embellishments on, I have my hot glue gun, but you could use craft glue too. It would be totally fine for this. So let's get started. We're going to learn how to make the curlicues first, and then I'm going to show you how to assemble everything, and then we're going to embellish it and make it super cute. So let's get started. Okay, we're going to make one of the curlicues together from start to finish, and then we're going to make a second one. So I'm going to make my first one in the light green, you'll make another one in the darker green, okay? Now, you can make both of yours in one color if that's what you have. That would also make a lovely little wreath, okay? So we want to leave a little tail, and we're going to put a slip knot on our hook. We're going to use this tail later. Wrap the yarn around your fingers to make a loop. Bring the yarn behind the loop, reach in with your hook, bring up the loop, and tighten. Next, our wreath curlicues have a starting chain of 45. So we're going to make 45 chains. So to make a chain, wrap the yarn around the hook and bring it through the loop. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, and 45. So here is our starting chain. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start to work stitches into these chains. And we're going to work lots of stitches into each chain so that it sort of crowds it. And as it crowds it, it's going to start to create this like corkscrew curlicue shape. Okay? It's really neat. If you've never made one, it's going to be a lot of fun. So what we want to do is in the third chain from the hook, So this loop here does not count. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, this third chain from the hook. We're going to work 3 half double crochets. So to make a half double crochet, wrap the yarn around the hook, insert it into that chain that we talked about, bring up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on the hook. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through all 3 loops. So that was 1 half double crochet. Now 2 half double crochet and 3 half double crochet, and that's it. Then we're going to do the same thing in every single chain across. So let's do a couple together. So the next chain, 1 half double crochet, 2 half double crochet, 3 half double crochet. Next chain, 1 half double crochet, 2 half double crochet, 3 half double crochet. As you can see, we've only worked into a couple of chains and you can see it's already curling, okay? Really fun. So all we're going to do now is work 3 half double crochets into every chain all the way across, okay? So go ahead and do that and we'll rejoin in just a minute. Okay, just coming up to this last chain, I worked 1, this was the second, and then here's the third half double crochet. As you can see, I have this really awesome curlicue. Okay, sometimes I wanted to point out, it may not look like this when you're done. Sometimes they get a little bit twisted like this, and you have to kind of like run your hand through all the way down and kind of form it, but you'll have this lovely curlicue shape, okay? So when you're done, what you're gonna do is grab your scissors and cut the yarn, leaving a tail. Go ahead and fasten off, wrap the yarn around the hook and just pull it through the loop, okay? Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab your other yarn, your green yarn. Now let me just zoom out because we're gonna work far away now. You have your dark green yarn and we're gonna make another curlicue. So I have 2 curlicues here. And then what we are gonna do is we're going to take them and start twisting them together to form our wreath, okay? So grab the 2 tops and we're gonna sort of match them up. See how these tops almost look like a half shell? We're gonna sort of put that together and then you're just gonna start kind of coiling them around each other, okay? So start doing that, and you might need to kind of get a feel for it at first. They may not want to coil right away, but see, as you can see here, they start to coil very nicely around each other. Okay, and I'm just wrapping them around all the way around. Now I played with this a little bit before. I tested it out to make sure it coiled nicely, and they do, but you might need to go a little slower if you've never done this before. That's okay. All right, so just keep wrapping them around each other, and because we did the same amount of starting chains and the same amount of stitches in each one, they should meet up at the end, okay? So see how I got the bottom, 2 bottoms here? And they just kind of meet up at the bottom. So you have this really neat coil at the end, okay? I'm just gonna zoom in so you can see a little bit better. Now we're ready to form this into our wreath shape, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to bring them around like this, and then we're going to grab our tapestry needle and we're just going to kind of sew everything together. You're going to have some extra ends here. That's okay, but we're going to just kind of sew this stuff together. So what I like to do is just grab any old random end. It doesn't matter which one. I have 4 here. You'll probably have 4 as well. But what I like to do is first, I want to sew these 2 ends together. Okay, so take these 2 ends here and just kind of stitch, just throw a stitch in that just to hold it together, okay? Then you want to keep it coiled still. You don't want any like flat spots. You want a nice round wreath, and we're going to weave all these ends in later, okay? But we're going to take our coil, we're going to bring it up to the other ends here. And then we're just going to take all these like this and just send our needle through all the layers. Now see how I'm kind of rocking it back and forth? It's a lot of layers to go through. And then get all these tails out of the way later. But as you can see, you're going to need more than 1 stitch to kind of hold those together, okay? Now, this is where having our bow will come in handy, because where we seam it, it's not going to have this beautiful coil like the rest. You can kind of make it look like that a little bit, but there is going to be a spot where you've sewn it, okay? So we just want to make sure It doesn't have to look perfect right now, but we want to just make sure that it's going to be held securely, okay? So just take your needle and just go a couple times through here. Try to keep it as nice and neat as possible, but also you want to make sure it's nice and secure, okay? So before you take this needle out, just make sure that you weave in your end. So while it's right there on your needle, front and center, just make sure that you just sort of weave it in while it's in there, okay? And then I like to we want to fasten that off. So just put a little knot in there just to kind of tack everything down. Is take one of your ends and we're going to make a hanging loop and we're going to send it through, but not all the way through. You want to leave a loop in here, just like that, okay? And then it doesn't need to be too big. If it's going to be an ornament or something like that, you only need to be able to get a hook in there, okay? And then we're just going to like tie it to itself so that it'll stay put, okay? And then just kind of leave that hanging loop be. Then what we want to do, just leave that hanging loop there. Then what we want to do is we want to take our ends and just kind of weave them in. So we're going to establish a front and a back here. So I'm going to make this the front. Anything that you're seaming or weaving in ends like this is going to be, we're going to camouflage it a little bit with our bow. Okay, so go ahead and just weave all the rest of your ends in, and then we're going to make a little bow for it. Okay, our cute little wreath is done, and now we're ready to embellish it. So all we want to do now is put a bow on it. I'm going to put a bow right here at the top, and I'm going to put a bell in the center. However, I did share some things at the beginning of the video you can add on here. That would be very pretty and fun. You could also put a bow and add some little things around your wreath to almost look like little ornaments or decor on your wreath too. So any way you want to do it, and I can't wait to see all the ones that you share and what you've done to embellish. So share in the comments below how you plan to embellish yours. So what we're going to do, I'm going to just do some classic red satin ribbon, and we're going to just cut a piece off, okay? We don't need a ton of it. Bring your bow through. Now, obviously we need to play with ours a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to like pull on the bottom pieces, and then we're going to pull the loops out. We're just going to kind of straighten this up until it's how we want it to look, okay? Okay, so I've been trying to like pull on the loops. You want to like fluff up your loops like this, pull things out. Now that one's too big, so I'm going to pull that in a little bit. And then once it's about how you want it to look, then you want to lay it down on your wreath. We're going to trim these tails in just a minute. And then if you have another embellishment you want to do, you can kind of drop it down on top like that, okay? So I realize once I put my bell on, my loops are kind of small. So I'm just going to kind of play with that a little bit more. And see how I'm like tapping? If you kind of tap the loop like that, it'll fluff up those loops, okay? So then what we want to do is grab your glue gun once your bow is ready. Now, if you really don't like tying bows, you can buy these pre-tied at the craft store. You can get like little packs of them, but a little dot is fine. And we're just going to kind of tap it on there. If you don't want to touch it, you can just kind of press it on there. And we're going to shape up those loops a little bit, get everything positioned before it dries. Now I just touched it. Try not to do that. All right, and then our bow looks really cute, okay? And then if we want to put a bell on there, that's fine too, okay? I'm gonna drop my bell on there. So just put a little dot of glue right on top of that bow. You don't have to do the bell. It's totally up to you. You might like just the classic bow. I like the little bit of jingle. I think it's fun. Okay, and now our bow ties are pretty long, so I'm going to just go ahead and cut them. Now, if you cut your ribbon at an angle, it looks a little bit nicer and a little bit more finished. Make sure that they're same length, more or less. Okay, if you have any of those glue strings, pull those off. And there is our cute little wreath. It looks absolutely beautiful. And you can use this on a tree. We kind of talked about this a little bit at the beginning of the video. Actually, you want to keep this very flat while it's drying. I shouldn't pick this up. But You can put this on a tree, on a gift topper. You could even make a little bigger loop and hang it on a doorknob. It looks very cute. So that is how you make a crochet curlicue wreath ornament. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Fiberflux video updates. Thanks again.